Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And we had a little bit of fun here. We're a little bit like we're like 15 minutes off on the time that we started recording, which, you know, again, is not that big of a deal. But yeah, we've got a returning guest, Daphne. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. We had a little bit of a little thing on Daphne's end. Every time she connected, she was getting kicked out. So, you know, stay until you're kicked out, right?
Right.
But in this case, but in this case, we actually wanted to keep you on.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we do too. So, all right. So just a quick little recap here. So episode 27, we had you on. And we went through everything that brought you up to obviously that point of sobriety. And if I remember correctly, where we ended off, basically you were in the middle of wine country at a treatment center. I think that's where we ended off. But so basically, what we want to talk about here, and in what we talked about towards the end of the episode, is the kind of the meat of all this stuff. Is obviously we find out. Everyone gets there. Everyone's got their war stories, which we talked about. And then the key there is like, how did you get sober, that first part of it? And then, what have you been doing for the last 4 years? So Mike and I were thinking too that, and I think this might be a great way to do it, is we've got a ton of questions. Obviously, there was a lot of things that came up when you went through your story. So if you don't mind, I mean, we'd like to ask you questions throughout this too, and kind of hit some of those high points. Feel free. Obviously, tell us what you need to.
Sure.
But if you're cool with that, I think that we can, because I want to get as much of this content in this hour
Absolutely.
as we can, because I know you're doing good work, and we want to get that out to people. It's important, So if you're cool with that,
Yes, I love it. Sounds great.
okay,
Yes.
cool. So first of all, give us your sobriety date again, and what do you think, Mike? Let's focus on the first 30 days right off the bat.
Let's start with that.
All right. Well, so first of all, thanks for having me back again and giving me, the opportunity to participate in my own recovery today. My saving days,
welcome.
you. My saving days grade is July the 29th of 2018. My last drink was on the 28th of July. So, the 29th was the first day that I woke up and have not put any of those horrible poisons in my body. So, let's see. I go to treatment, and I am there for 90 days. And yes, it was in Hill Country. Oh God, of all places. I never had gotten to experience any of that. And then when I finally get to see it, I am in a druggy buggy and not able to really to enjoy it. Yeah, when we got out and was going to our meetings, I was like, oh my God, like, where the hell have I landed? Like, is this a dream? It's like a nightmare. Like, it was horrible, but it was good. It was good. So, so it is a 12-step based treatment facility. And, and the AA was new to me. Like, I did not know anything about that program. So basically, for 90 days, the 90 and 90, and it kind of all made sense after the fact. I was in a meeting for 90 days. So, and again, it was AA based, and I didn't know anything about the big book or anything. So it was all new to me. So I was there, like I said, for 90 days, and it kind of, it really set that foundation to be in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I had, like I said in the last podcast, I had only attended one meeting, and I really had all great intentions on going back the next day, but I was drunk and I didn't go. So
Right.
that kind of made a little
being drunk, being drunk got in the way of things, right?
And plus, I had gotten a DUI, so I was afraid to drive. So, needless to say, I did not go back to that meeting, and instead, I made that great decision, to go to detox. So, let's see. Upon leaving the treatment, at this time, now this is my new life. I had just built like this firm foundation, and I was starting out on these things that had been instilled in me over the last 90 days, and I guess it was at that moment that, I chose to recover out loud, like from the moment that I left treatment. And I think it was probably because, like any good alcoholic, you got to post it all on Facebook. So I checked in on Facebook to the treatment center. Like I must have been on some good drugs leaving detox, because I don't know what possessed me to do that. So yeah, on Facebook, my last post was checking in to this treatment facility. So I knew at that time, like, there's going to be people that are sitting around waiting for me to fail, and I've got to do this right, because I've already put this out there. So there's no going back. So at that moment, I decided to make my recovery story louder than my drinking story. And so, fast forward, I'm told when I leave treatment, I need a sponsor within a week, and I need to be a sponsor and start sponsoring within 2 weeks. And I was like, man, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Right? I know. Yeah. I was like, damn. Like, I really didn't know if I wanted to go back to these AA meetings, but apparently if I got to find a sponsor, I guess I got to go back. So I went back
Right.
immediately. The moment I left treatment, we stayed in Austin that night, because it was 3.5 hours away from my house where the treatment center was. So we stayed in Austin that first night, and then the next morning I woke up and went straight to an AA meeting. So from the moment I walked out of treatment, I started implementing everything that I had been learning. I'm so sorry. Those 90 days prior. So,
So what the hell was that?
I'm so sorry. It is my dog, but she's
No,
gone.
you don't have to apologize. No, that's cool.
Okay.
No. Well, you probably listened to if you listen to the one with Justin. I mean, basically, his sounded like his dog was eating his leg.
Right.
And, I'm in a house right now. I'm in a house right now with my sister. Where today, because my niece is home for the weekend, there's 4 dogs in the house, so you may hear some dogs in the background. Anyhow, it's all fine. That sounded like just this ungodly scream. So that was cool. I might have to isolate that one. Put that into our intro.
God. Well, hey, I can open the door and give you some more if you want it. No, my in-laws are in.
No. You're good. Hey,
and my in-laws had come in town last night, and they brought their dog. And my mother-in-law had been out walking the dog, and they just walked back in. And so apparently, Coco and all of her, 20 pounds, the watchdog, she's going crazy. But anyway, she's out of here. So sorry about that.
So no. So quick question on what you and Mike and I went through the same thing with the Keating Center, as Mike had said in the past. And introduced us to AA, and we had to go to meetings and all those sort of things. So were you guys when you were in that facility for that 90 days? Were you just going out to meetings? Were you guys doing groups in there? How was that set up?
Yeah. So we would go out to 2 meetings a night. And that was like, our field trips. That was so exciting to get the hell out of there and get to like see the world. And like, you don't realize how sheltered you are until you can't go anywhere. And so we got to go twice a week, but the other 5 nights of the week, we had our own meetings. So we had a meeting every single night. And then,
Right.
Yeah. So during the day, oh my God, like, from the moment we woke up until the time we went to sleep, it was classes. It was meetings with the counselors, with the recovery coaches. and just trying to work through what kind of got me what got me in this grand situation to begin with, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
like the big book
Okay.
studies, and I love that stuff. Like, I soaked it up because I didn't want to go back to where I had just come from. So yeah, it was total.
Right.
From the moment we woke up, they woke us up at 6 o'clock, and I wasn't used to being in confined spaces with people like that. Especially, let me rephrase that, with people that I didn't choose to be in a confined space with.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
Right.
like it was a big it was huge for me because I went from living at home with my mom and dad to living with my husband. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't in a dorm in college and stuff around all these females, and it was a it was a it was a big ass culture shock, to say the least. I don't even know if culture shock is the right word to use. So I would wake up at 5 o'clock and I would have that 1 hour of peace of time by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go out and sit and read devotionals and smoke and enjoy the time being like with
Right.
nobody. And then once the RAs came around and woke everybody up, it was, oh God, all hell would break loose, and it was crazy. It was like I was in. I mean, it wasn't what I expected. Like, I thought it was gonna be. It was very, very structured, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds that deal with
Right.
that deal with situations in a lot of different ways that you never
Mm-hmm.
did and never plan on. And so, and a lot of them were younger. And for once, I felt like the most mature person in the place. But I gotta say, after 90 days, I still was not like really used to that. But anyway, so that answers your question about, yeah, it was lots of classes and stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. Like, I really enjoyed them, and I would really get pissed off when people would, not pay attention, or they'd fall asleep, or they would talk, or they would eat, because
Mm-hmm.
every little thing that they did, the teacher would stop. The counselors would stop, and then they would have to discipline them. And I'm like, damn, you're acting like you're in the third grade. Like, take it serious. Like, for me, this is my life. This is my life, and I hate to say it, but this is the truth. A lot of those, several people came in on scholarships, so it was not money out
Mm-hmm.
of their pocket. My insurance did
Right.
not pay for this, and it was 15 grand a month. And my husband, thank God, offered them like a cash option, and they took it. However, so this is money that's out of my pocket, and I'm not getting this free ride. So I am trying to get every dollar out of this. And you could kind of see the people that had a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it, and then those that did not. And so those tended to be the people that were not taking it seriously. And so for once, I
Right.
could finally say that was like, I never paid attention in school. I don't even know how the hell I ever graduated, but I was determined to get every bit of everything that program had to offer me. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that's that.
So it I mean it sounds like that when you went in there you I guess surrendered and committed and all that stuff, whereas that wasn't necessarily, we talked about it, not necessarily my story, but but Mike, everything she just talked about, I think with the exception of the maturity,
Yeah.
because I didn't feel more mature in there, but
No.
do you see a lot of similarities in that with what we dealt with at the Keating Center, with the exception of the money part.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well. Right. Well, first of all, I've been to a couple of 90-day programs, and it is very concentrated. Thankfully, the Keating Center was much longer, so we had more time to work. But yeah, those they force you into the we of the program very quickly. And the second part is absolutely, even though we didn't pay for the Keating Center monetarily, um, my recovery, I tell people all the time, look, I'm not willing to give this up because I have burned way too many calories to get to where I am today.
Right.
I earned this thing.
Right.
thing. I've worked really, really hard for the past 12 and a half years to get to where I'm at, and I'm not willing to throw it away so I can feel good for 20 minutes.
Right. Right.
Well, and And that's what our sponsor said. What Joe had said. I know. I think I talked about that once, but posted it. I think once is that there's that turning point between because everyone always says what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do when you first come in?
Right.
And he told us that at a point it turns from what are you willing to do to what are you willing to give up or give away?
Mm-hmm.
And his point to that was that once you realize that like Mike just said, I don't want to give away
Right.
anything, and I don't
Right.
mean stuff. I just everything that he and I and all three of us have worked for in this time frame, I don't want to give
Mhm.
up any of it. And that's a cool place to be
Right.
in. So
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's sad because that really wasn't the case for a lot of people that happened to be in there with me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
oh sure.
It's like this was my option, or I was going to jail. This was my option, or it's kind of like three meals and what is it, three hots and a cot. It's like people,
That's it.
yeah, and it made me sad because today at this time I know of two people that I was in there with that lost their life to this disease, and those would be two
Mm-hmm.
people
Oh yeah.
that were not taking it serious, that I could just see. And actually, both of them got kicked out of the treatment center and then later lost
Right.
their lives. And it's sad. It breaks my heart. But I knew I did not, for one, I did not want to go back to this place that I was, because it
Right.
was living hell. Even though it was saving my life, it was like I thought I was going to kill myself at times because it was crazy. And then I didn't want to go back to the other life either, So I wanted, it was a
Right.
new way for me to live, and I had to learn it. Like, I was learning to live again. I have never lived this sober life,
Mm-hmm.
and so I totally did. I soaked up every moment of it, and for once, I felt like a nerd because I was that one. I couldn't have enough highlighters. I couldn't take enough notes, and and I look back on it today, and I'm grateful for it because that is what like I said, got me on this firm foundation that I, thank God, am on
Mm-hmm.
today, just for today. And I'm not going to stop doing those things. But yeah, so let's see. I get out of treatment. And that's when I'm like, get a sponsor and, get all these sponsees. And I'm like, Jesus, like, I got to learn who is Daphne? Like, who is this? Like, who am I? Like, first of all, like when I first got out that day, my husband picked me up. Oh my God, we went to Target. I swear to y'all, I felt like a freaking alien. Like, it's crazy. If you've been locked up before, like, and you get out, like, I see how people that have been in prison for years, like, are freaks when they get out, because I totally felt like a freak. Like, I did not, it was just the strangest thing. But anyway, obviously I'm not a freak anymore. I've come out of it. But so I go,
Well, you're just a different
I
type of
am, and
freak.
yeah,
That's all.
and so much for that maturity. I learned once I got out, I really wasn't that mature, but that's okay because I'm sober. Hey, I'm sober, not mature. So I go back
Right.
to the place. Uh,
Wait, that's a plug. I'm gonna cut that one out too. I'm sober, not mature.
so I go.
Thank you,
You're
Daphne.
welcome. There's more where that came from. So I go back to this place that I had initially gone to the meeting at, and I was like, I did like the ladies that were there, and it was it was convenient, and I was like, I liked them because they had reached out to me when I did not return, and I was like, that's just odd. And that's just you not being in the program, you don't realize that that's what we do. And so I was like, oh, they're so sweet, let me go back there. So I go back and I go to a speaker night. That was the next thing that I did, and I immediately got stalked by this woman who became my sponsor. And but like she was like stalking me on Facebook. She was texting me. She was calling me. I was like, what in the hell is going on with this woman? Like, why won't she leave me alone? And she was like, I want to be your sponsor. And I'm like, oh, okay. And looking back, you really need to pick your sponsor. Like, if I could tell anybody in this program, you want to have what they have, and
Right.
you need to interview these people. And I didn't do that because I didn't know that at the time. And long story short, I more or less became her sponsor. And she told me that I was the easiest person she'd ever sponsored. I'm like, well, hell yeah, I just came out of treatment for 90 days and life is good today. And so we became friends, which is not good. And then I was pretty much her sounding board for unfortunate things that were happening in her life. And so things kind of happen in, a little different than I think they're supposed to. And so, needless to say, we're still friends. And unfortunately, she's kind of come in and out of the program over the years since I've been sober. And anyway, so that was my first sponsor. And as far as the sponsees came, I really was like, damn, like I've got to learn how to live before I can tell somebody else how to live. And granted,
Well, yeah.
right? I know. I
Right.
was like, even though I got this little
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when you said, that in 2 weeks you're supposed to be sponsoring someone else. I was just like, that's insane.
Right.
yeah.
Because I mean,
Go ahead. Sorry.
we were taught, you need to get a year.
Mm,
You need to get yourself straight before you can help anybody else.
right.
You can't give away what you don't
Right.
have.
I was still trying to find it. I didn't have it. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Well, listen. I didn't listen to them. I didn't do that. So, but I did get, like I said, I got voluntold that I had a sponsor, and so then when it came for the sponsees, I really was like, yeah, I've got to figure out who I am, and before I could help anybody else down this road. Granted, yeah, I had 90 days more than some people, but at the same time,
Sure.
it was a new life for me. So what I did is like, when people would say, at the end of the meeting, is anybody, are there any sponsors? Raise your hand. I was like, oh Jesus, okay. And so I would pray as I raised my hand, like, if I am meant to be someone's sponsor, it is going to be it's going to be from my higher power, and they're going to come to me. I am not sticking my claws in somebody. Like that is not who I am.
Right.
And so,
Oh, the big book says we can't drag people off of bar stools.
right. Hey, if we could have,
Right.
we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So, yeah.
Right.
So that's for probably 2 months. I just waited. Like, if they come to me, then that's fine. Well, eventually that came. So I learned the hard way, very early on, that you cannot save somebody that does not want to be saved, even if they come to you wanting
Right.
you to be their sponsor, probably because they were told they needed to get one. So I had to
Right, Mike?
I had to learn that lesson.
Yep.
It was hard. It was very hard because it would stress me out. And then, I would call my sponsor. I'm like, oh my God, she won't do this, she won't do that. And then instead of getting, then I would have to like help solve my sponsor's problems, and I didn't get anywhere. And so, I learned early on tough love, and I would rather step on your grave. I mean, I'd rather step on your feelings and step on your grave. That is what I let them know
Right.
early on. And I only had one that was like that, and it was bad. It was hard, and plus her drug of choice was meth, and I didn't have a lot of knowledge in that. And anyway, so that was so once I got her out of the way and tried to help her the best I could, then I started getting more sponsees, but I really kept the number at a minimum because it's not about it's not about quality. I mean, it's about quality, not quantity. And I was not here to say,
Right.
oh, I've got 90 days and 45 sponsees. That's not who I am. And it's kind of like, like a sign up sheet. He wants to be my sponsee. But, I want to give, like anything, I want to give it my all. And if I can't do that, I'm not going to half-ass do it. So,
Right.
moving on.
So
Yeah.
real quick thing. So and again, the treatment facility, and again, like Mike said, that's insane. To have you get a sponsor is one thing, but to sponsor people that early. Although I think, am I correct, Mike? Didn't they do that like back in the day? Bill
Yeah.
and Bob did that with people,
Right.
but
Well, they didn't have a lot of choice.
Right.
there wasn't 80 some years of history behind it. There was 80 minutes.
Right.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, it's not that it hasn't been done before, but the other question that when you were talking about that, in that 90-day period that you were in there, did they run you through all the steps, or how did that work?
Yes, and that's
Okay, so
yes.
you got the run through the steps, whereas we were, wasn't it the first 60 or 90 days that we were supposed to stay on 1, 2, and 3, Mike?
Yeah. The first 90 days. Yeah. 1, 2, and 3.
That's what I
Oh
thought, yeah.
wow.
And then we weren't based on the Keating Center, and I'll say rules, but their guidelines was that you're supposed to work on the 1, 2, and 3, which are the those core, obviously the core steps,
Right.
and then to Mike's point,
Phyllis's deal. Phyllis was one of the founders of the Keating Center. Her deal was, look, man, you need to have close to a year of sobriety before you can even figure out how to do a fourth step.
Oh, wow.
Because you need to pull your head out of your ass. Yeah, you need to be clear-headed. You need to know what the hell's going on in your life to be able to do a quality fourth step.
Right.
And I agree with that completely.
No, I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And this takes time, and that was the way I did. I mean, I know Bill too. Well, plus we're procrastinators, but yeah, I mean, I didn't do my fourth step till I was about 11 months and didn't do that fifth until it was real close to a year.
Wow.
Because I had a lead schedule coming up and my sponsor wouldn't let me lead until I had my fifth step done.
No, I had to have it done. And I can remember like it was yesterday, them talking to my husband and saying that we might need to, she's not leaving until these steps are done. And if we need to keep her longer, we will. And he let them know real quick, no, this is a 90-day treatment facility. She will stay 90 days.
Right.
She will not stay 91. And their whole thing was, they kept thinking I was lying to them because they were like, there's got to be some hidden trauma back here. There's got to be, there's got to be a reason for this. Like, listen, bitch, I like to drink. Like, there you go.
Yep.
That's what it started out with. I like to get drunk. And then I would drink over everything. That's basically it in a nutshell. Like, what more do you need to know? But they did.
Right.
They would drill me. And that was the only one time I said that I wanted to leave was when we were sitting, my counselor said, I just think that there's something that you're hiding. I'm like, why? Okay, first of all, I'm paying you cash money. I came here willingly. Why wouldn't I get everything out of this that I possibly could? And they did, but they kept saying, well, we might have to keep her because we feel like there's something that she's not disclosing to us and this, that, and I'm like, again, I like to get drunk and I really want to get drunk right now, thanks to you. But anyway, but no, I had to do
I'm selfish and I'm self-centered and I want to feel good all the time.
Right.
And fuck everybody around me.
Right. What else do you need to know?
Yeah, that's my problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure there's somewhere in the big book that states, we don't, whatever. It was so frustrating. I'm like, have you read this book that you're making me read? Like, it doesn't have to be some child. You don't have to be sexually abused at 3 years old to do this, So anyway, So
no, you don't.
No, you don't. And so, so I got had to work all the steps, and we had homework time each day. Like we had plenty of time to get through them in 90 days, but it's just. But it's knowing that you were on this timetable. Like, you want to get the hell out of there. You don't want to stay any longer than you have to. And come to find out, that was just BS. It wasn't going to keep me. But I don't know. I guess they thought by saying stuff like that, it was going to get me to. I mean, I'm like, do I need to make up something? Like, I felt like I was on Dateline. Like, when they interrogate the people, like, I did not really just kill this person, but you're making me. I'm going to admit that I did, just so you'll shut the fuck up, kind of thing, So
and in my opinion, that's a weird game to play with alcoholics and addicts. That basically forcing them to make up a story because that's what we do.
Yeah, you don't need to force me to lie.
Right. I know. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, did something happen that I don't know? Have I? And it got you. It got you. It messes with your head. Like, it really messes with your head.
Right.
But
Well, I completely understand because the 90 days programs that I went through, they were psychologically based too, and it was didn't help me at all. You're trying to pile all this extra crap on me. I'm trying to get sober. I'm trying to deal with my problems with alcohol and drugs. I don't need all this other crap getting in the way.
Right. Yeah. I guess they thought that, I don't know. Whatever. For whatever reason. I mean, but and I know that a lot of people in there had that kind of stuff, and they were free sharing about it. Like, they didn't make any bones about it. And but yeah, it's I look back now and I think I guess they were doing their job, but at the same time, like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would lie to them about that as well. But I'm like, again, I like my wine. I like whatever. There's nothing else I can say. Next, whatever. So. Excuse me. Let's see. Where was I?
No, that's fine. Yeah. So you're
Me-
now you're out. You're going to
meetings.
meetings. You're getting sponsees. You got your sponsor you're taking care of, and I'm guessing you're probably probably heading towards that that six. How about the 6 months to a year? Let's kind of go in that area where you were
Well,
at
all
that
right.
point.
At 6 months, I had to start chairing meetings, and because you had to have 6 months sobriety. So at my home group, yeah,
Nice.
and I was, I was like, oh, this is kind of scary because my home group is enormous. Like at a new, there's 5 meetings a day, 7 days a week.
Mhm.
The new meeting is a great meeting because that's when people are coming for lunch and whatnot. And there, at any given day, there would be 60 to 80, 85 people. And so that was the meeting that
Mm.
I started chairing. And I would chair 2 meetings a week. And I bounced around because I like to hear different stories. I like to meet different people, because like this was my new life. And I thought, there's more to this than just what is in my homeroom. I mean, my homeroom, like I'm in high school, my home groups.
Right.
Shit,
Right.
I'm flashbacks. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but here we go. Um, I would go, I would drive. So if anybody's listening to this and you go to a meeting and you don't like it, there are other meetings. I would drive, I would have
Hmm.
a radius. And so I would go to my ones at my home group. And then like once or twice a week, I would find one in another city. And plus it was good for me to get out. I wasn't sitting at home. And I would go, like I said, north, south, east, and west to up to an hour. That was my minimum. I mean, my maximum was an hour. And so I met so many people in the program. And granted, I'm just glad I didn't fall in love with one of those groups because that's a long ass way to go, a couple times a week. But I
Right.
enjoyed it. So
That's
it
a
is
commitment.
it is a commitment. Look, I was committed, but I don't know how committed. So
That
that's what I would do. So I stayed busy in those meetings. I did lots of service work. Oh my God. So that's my sponsor. She loved any time at the meetings when they were like, so and so needs their house painted or this, that, and the other. Her hand would raise. And I always knew that meant Daphne's about to go paint a house. She loved to volunteer her girls to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? So she would come and she would kind of like oversee it. So let me just tell y'all, I've done a lot of service work, all the way from going to houses that have horses, cleaning up the horse stuff, renovating houses, cutting lawns. If somebody had a need for something, I was usually there because like I said, my sponsor liked to volunteer us. And so, which it was good.
hmm
These are things that
hmm
so and so needs her house clean. I'm like, oh, I have a maid, so I'm going to clean somebody else's. Can I take her? Like, can I take my maid with me? I'm like, okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. So I did. You know what? It's like I wanted what those people had, and I was going to any lengths to get this life. And so, if this is what I had to do, and that's what I did. So I lots of service work.
hmm
I was, and doing the coffee bar. I was, cleaning the bathrooms at my play at my home group. Anything that arose, if I was able to do it, physically able to do it, because time I had all the time in the world. I was there. I would
Right.
do it. I never, hardly, rarely said no. And when they would have like the AA convention. I was at the AA convention. I went and stayed in Houston, outside of Houston. I got a hotel for the weekend, and like I tried to immerse
Nice.
myself in every opportunity, all the workshops that they would have. Like that first year, anything like again within an hour's driving distance, if no matter where the workshops were, I would go to them. I would attend all the birthday nights because I think that's so important to be there to support those people, you know,
hmm
and it almost makes me cry because, it's like every day for us is something to celebrate because, there's so many of us that are not waking up today and that didn't make it home last night. And I just love those birthday nights. They're so special. And to see all that, that strength and hope in those people that have made it for so many years. And a lot of those people, it's like, what have they done all of these years to be where they are today? And it's like, I think
hmm
after 4 years, I've sat in enough meetings to know what happens to the people that don't go to those meetings. And
Right.
I
Right.
think for me personally, and I can't obviously speak for anyone else, and I think that y'all might agree because y'all are in the program. Um, for us, the true alcoholic, so much more than putting down that drink. I had an interaction with someone last
Mhm.
week on Instagram, and sometimes, we know what we believe because this is what works for us, and it's not going to work for everybody else. And those
Right.
things will drive us up the fucking wall when somebody's like, I don't need a meeting. I don't have to go. I just put down the drink. That right there, like, I'm starting to sweat thinking about it. That's great. That's good. I am happy for you, but I truly don't believe that you were drinking vodka at 5 o'clock in the morning and put it down and don't go to a meeting. Like, if you can do that,
Right.
that's great. Like, kudos. But for me, and this is my program, this is what works for me because I don't want to be
Right.
that person again. And if you didn't have to do it, then that was some kind of miracle because this is what I needed and this is what works for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the fellowship is an important. Yeah, the fellowship is an important part of the program. Absolutely. It's not the main part of the program for me, but it is definitely a part of it.
Right.
I have to keep myself accountable
Right.
to another human being or several. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but but the program is working the program, and that's something that only I can do.
Right.
No one else can do it for me. Going to a meeting is not going to keep me sober.
No, it's not.
Right. I mean, I have a wonderful example of where I shot up in the bathroom of a meeting one time.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, sure. I was at a meeting and I went into the bathroom and got high.
Look at you.
Meeting didn't keep. Oh yeah, but again, the meetings are important. The fellowship of the program is important.
Right.
But the program is working the steps, and only I can do that.
And it's not just one thing. Just like you're saying, there's several components to it.
Yep, absolutely. And I can't pick and choose what those are.
Right. And the thing is, there's a difference between being sober and being in recovery. Lots of people can get sober.
Mm-hmm.
Like my husband could be sober. You know what I mean? Because he's not a drinker. So
right. Well, I quit. Right. I quit drinking every day. Right. I passed out.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we just talked about that in last week's episode because and that's been an opinion of Mike and I for years that people, and that was the whole point of the title of the episode, the dry, being dry or actually being sober, so and for me to begin with that. God, that first, and I mean, we figured it out probably talking on here that first 9 months, that I was, again, I'll say quote unquote, there's my air quotes, Mike, quote unquote sober. I was probably dry for those first 9 months because I had shit in my head that I hadn't worked out. But the fellowship and the meetings to that point kept me in the process. It maybe did keep me around long enough to have that. Well, to get my head out of my ass, let's just call it what it is, to hear that pop, as Marty used to say.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hard watching people that, think that they can, and again, Mike and I are not blind to the fact that there's people out there getting sober in other ways. That's cool. This is what we do. This is what you do, Daphne, or what you did. And I think one of the biggest things that you said, even all the stuff and, that, kind of them expecting you to sponsor people when you came out of that 90-day thing, is that you said that you got the foundation that you needed in that 90-day period. And you know what? That's what the Keating Center did for us. It was the foundation. It's like, and it was always explained to us like building a house.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, you can have a house without a basement. You don't have to go that low in every area, but you have to have a foundation to build on top of. That is the absolute point.
Right.
So
yes.
But
go ahead. Sorry.
But no, I was just going to say, yeah, go ahead. I got off on a tangent. Imagine that for a minute.
No. But I, for me personally, again, everything is, it's all about me. For me, I could not have done this had I not been there, and I see that if I had just gone for 30 days, I would have relapsed. I needed that 90 days, that for me, I could not. Now, if you go for 30 or 60, you went. That's great. If that worked, that's fabulous. But for me personally, 90 days is what I needed. So, so let's see, moving on. So that year, moving on. Like today, I feel like, and leading up to that from then on to here, like being in fit spiritual condition, it's such a quite indistinct concept, but it's noted as an essential ingredient. So that is for my daily reprieve. And I do so many things each day, to keep fit. I have boundaries and routines, and those for me are a must. And I started those early on. And I think being in treatment and everything being so structured, I love that. And I've brought the moment I left treatment, I still have my same morning routines. I've added to it, but I still do the things that I did. So that started, early on.
Right. That's same with
And I
us.
love it.
Yeah.
It's like my days just don't go great if I don't do those things. But yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, the phrase that you paraphrased from the big book is there is no cure for alcoholism. All we get is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition.
Right.
And for me,
Right.
the maintenance is the most important word in that. I mean,
right.
it's my favorite quote from the big book, but that's it,
Maintenance.
And seriously, I have heard that quote so many times where people leave that word maintenance out, and it just drives me insane.
Yes.
Because it's the most important word
Well,
in there.
it is.
How am I going to have a spiritual condition if I don't maintain it?
Exactly. Yeah, you're not going to stay sober
Right.
today on what you did yesterday.
Nope.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
And Mike and I have talked about that so much, and we sat in meetings for a long time because I figure I was out in Cleveland until we were like 3 years and 4 months sober,
Something like
whatever it
that.
was, and we went to, I don't know, 1,000 meetings, however it was. We went to a lot of damn meetings, and a majority of them, and you said the word speaker meeting, they call them lead meetings in Cleveland, but same deal. Some person stands up front and tells their story, and so many people. And we'd hear it. We'd hear them, heading up the ramp to that. Both of us would be like, "Are you going to say it? Are you going to say it?" Yes, they said maintenance. Or if they didn't, we're like, "Yeah." In our heads, we never said it out loud.
Right.
I don't remember. You fucking idiot! You forgot
Yes.
maintenance.
Please forgive me. I hope that y'all will have me back. I'm so sorry I left that word out.
But no, it's no. You didn't. You didn't. You were having a general conversation. There are people that will get up there and try to say that exact quote and leave out the word. Having a general conversation about it. You were talking about the thing. You didn't do the quote though. We're talking about people that get up there that are trying to. You got big book quoters and all those sort of things that try to get these words these phrases right. And Mike and I are not those people. I mean, I don't know how many episodes I'm like, Mike, was that in whatever? And he's like, I don't fucking know. I'm like, okay, well, it's in there. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
Right. If not, it should be.
It's some. Right. So no, I wasn't saying that to you, Daphne. I'm talking about people leading these meetings, but yeah, the maintenance part of it. So, and you said you're doing what you do and you add to it. All these different things. This is, Mike and I we talked about this in episodes that everything that we do stems back to, again, that foundation. And we've said those exact words. We do the same thing. We've added to it, but we haven't taken away to it or away from it.
Right.
So let me ask you a question there. So whether it's, you at, let's say, I don't know, a year and 6 months, or you now sitting here at, obviously 4 years and in a couple of months, or a couple of months now, what is your, and I'm not asking for complete details, but even just an outline of what do you do every day once you open your eyes and your feet hit the floor? What do you do right away in the morning to get your day started?
So the moment I open my eyes, well, I don't open my eyes. When I wake up, I pray. I pray because let me tell you, my husband likes to talk, and if he sees my eyes open, he's like Chatty Cathy. Once my eyes are open, he starts, and it's funny because usually he'll wake up before I do, and I will pick up, if he'll be texting me, wake up, I want to talk, wake up. It's so funny, like it's crazy, like we're weird, but anyway, but I know if I text him like good morning, because he's like outside this room, out the on the other side of the door, he'll bust in with my coffee and he'll come sit on the bed and then we'll just start talking, which I love, and it just warms my heart. But before I let him know I'm awake, I pray, because that is my time, my quiet time. So I will lay in bed and I will pray, and then I let him know I'm awake, and then he comes in. We drink coffee and we read. We have 3 devotionals that we read every single morning, and then I have 2. One is an AA and one is a refuge recovery devotional. And so I will read all of those. And at this time, like, that's why I was talking about my routines and stuff. And my boundaries are really big. Like, I don't pick up my phone. Like, I keep it on do not disturb. So if it's going off, I do not hear it. But I don't, up until the point until all of these readings are done. And then usually I'll listen to a meditation. Before I do, I don't touch my phone until all of that's done. Then I'll check my text
Right.
and check on my kids and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But so that is that right there is a non-negotiable. And having that quiet time and prayer time with him. Usually before he got involved in it, it was just me by myself. And it's funny because he'll read the refuge recovery ones and he'll read the AA ones with me. And it's funny because he knows a lot more than some people that are in Alcoholics Anonymous. But he'll throw out stuff all the time, and I just smile. I'm like, damn. And it's just funny, it's just, and he laughs, and it's like, it's us, he lives this program with me. But anyway, so we do that. And
That's awesome.
Most of us have come to the realization that everybody in this world could use this.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Yep.
Absolutely, they could. I know I've said that before too. Like, damn, imagine what this
It's a better way to live.
It is. Imagine what this world would be like if everybody joined AA. It could not. It could be worse. But okay, so that's what I do in the morning. And then sometimes I'll either listen to, like, I do a lot with Refuge Recovery, which is a 12-step Buddhist recovery program. And they have a lot of good meditations. But sometimes I'll just do like a positive morning meditation. I love the guided meditations. And no TV. I keep the TV off. Like, I didn't turn the TV on yesterday until like I was getting in the bed, and I was here by myself the entire day. Like, I swear to God, I'm not lying to y'all when I say this. I just told my husband this yesterday. I haven't gotten bored since I've been sober. I can always find something to do with my time. There's always something for me to read. I love to read. But so once the morning part is done, like we sit around and have coffee, and I will do that meditation, if not one, maybe two of them, and that stuff right there, and then check in with sponsees. That stuff right there is stuff that I do every day. Those are like the non-negotiable things in my mornings. And if I leave, like if something comes up, if there's an early doctor's appointment or something, and we are in the car and realize that we didn't do our devotionals, I have downloaded all the books into my iPhone so that we can do it. Because, when we were traveling so much, I was tired of lugging the books with me. So everything that I read now is on my iPad or either on my phone. So it's really nice. So there's just kind of like a Zoom meeting. You can always pop it up on your phone. There's no excuse. There's just absolutely, I don't have an excuse. So that is how my mornings are. And then the rest of the day, I'll find something to get into. Like, I'll read. I love to read. Like yesterday, I walked 5 miles and I listened to a book. I love listening to books on tape. I love listening to memoirs, and it was a new one that was just released. It was a guy, an alcoholic, and I love to listen to those while I'm out walking, and of course y'all's podcast, which I do listen to. I do listen to those too, but I got so into that book, I was like, I just got to keep walking. And so after I hit 5 miles, I finally finished the book, and I was like, okay. And I knew y'all had some new episodes, so I'll save those for my Monday walks. But nice. Yeah, and then and I came back and I ate lunch, and then I sat outside and I read, and then my in-laws got in town. So I am, and of course I'll get on Instagram, but I don't let that consume my time. Like, I cannot, for so long, that was really hard for me, because I had to reply back to everybody. I had to comment. If I followed you, I had to comment on everything. And let me just tell you something. That caused me so much unneeded anxiety and stress that it took me about 2 years to finally get over that. And in being a people pleaser, that was hard. It was really hard. And so now I'm like, if you will know that I saw it, because I will comment. But usually I'll post and I will stay on there. I will do that. Let me rephrase. Let me backtrack. After my devotionals and stuff, and my husband gets on his laptop and does his thing. After we've spent our quality time together in the morning and my meditation, then I will get on there and I will spend maybe 30 minutes, and that is it. And then I get off, and then I get on with my day, and I have to keep the notifications turned off, because every time that phone dings, it does not need me. That stuff's going to be there. And like every tone, like and I get anxiety really bad since I've been sober. I'm just a real big empath, and noises bother me, and I think I have a lot of PTSD from my daughter. So anytime my phone dings, I automatically think something's wrong with her, and oh, she's arrested, she's in
Sure.
another car wreck, she's OD'd, she's I never know, and so now she's got her own special tone. So I don't like my heart doesn't stop too
Right.
often during the day, but when that one goes off, I'm like, oh shit, and so anyway, that's basically it. But those are the things that I do that are non-negotiable. And like I said, of course, checking in with
Right.
others in the
So
program, and but then that is my time. Then I get on with
right.
things that I
So
need to do.
basically what you're saying is you maintain that foundation first thing in the morning so you can get through the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Imagine that.
Right. Hey, it's a miracle. I'm glad that I discovered that, and I can share it with others, because people don't know that. But
Right.
it's amazing. And my husband,
Right. I know.
I've turned him on to
Well,
it.
we certainly do.
Yes.
Right. We certainly do, because that's exactly how I start my day every day, too. The alarm goes off. I don't open my eyes. I say, please, first thing. This atheist prays twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
I say please in the morning and thank you at night. But yes, I and then I grab my books.
Right.
Because I'm old school. I have my books and I drag them around with me. We go on vacation and stuff. I take my books with me. I know Bill has all his stuff on his phone,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter either
At
way.
least you got it.
But I'm right. But you know what? I need to have that physical paper and ink in my hand
Yes.
to, I don't know.
I know.
For some reason, it just, right. That's just me, though.
No.
Again, lots of paths, and lots of people can do it different ways. As long as they're doing it, that's all I care about.
It doesn't matter which way you do it.
Well, and there was and there was a story that I know I told on here the one time, and there was in Mike's right. I put everything on my phone probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
Because it was probably longer than that now. It's when I came back to Wisconsin. I was traveling for work, and I ended up I had a couple of books that I gave away to people at meetings because they needed them, and then I'm like, well, shit, I got it on my phone anyhow, but. The two key things from there, and then Mike just said exactly that. I mean, that's how he starts. I was kind of laughing in my head because everything that you were saying, Daphne, I'm like, damn, Mike does that exact, not a little bit. Mike does that thing,
Uh-huh.
And then you talked about it on your phone. I'm like, I do that thing,
Mhm.
but the fact that, and we talked about this before, from the day that we got sober and started doing, I started doing prayers and all that stuff. That is 100% and has been for 12 and almost a half years now. It's been my time, and
Yes.
it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm staying at my sister's down in Indiana. I've been with hanging out with somebody. I travel, all these different things. There are times when I've sat in the bathroom after I put my contacts in, and I've sat down and I've done my prayers because it's a house full of people. And no offense to all these people, because I love them to death, and it's usually family. But I'm not gonna.
Yes.
That's me. That's my time.
That's right. Absolutely.
And I get up a little bit earlier than my sister most of the time, normally, so I get that first 15, 20 minutes, and that gets me through, my prayers and stuff like that. And I'm not embarrassed of it, but it's me. I want that time, but the quick thing there is, it was a guy that I tried to sponsor in the 24-hour book, the Hazelden one. Is we talk about that a lot. We started that in the Keating Center. Yeah, and Mike and I still every single day. I haven't missed a day, since we started it.
Yes.
Yeah, and there was a guy I sponsored that. It's one of the only things. I was kind of walking him through like the first 1, 2, and third step. And then I just said, every morning you got to continue to read that. Always these excuses about, I didn't have time or whatever. I'm like, dude, it takes 2 minutes. And for me, if I got to be someplace or I got shit to do, you know what I do? I get up early.
Right.
Hey,
and
I lose sleep, for something that's important to me. And I don't consider losing sleep. I'll get a little bit less sleep, because that, to me, in the morning, I've had people say that. Why the fuck do you get up 2 hours before you got to go someplace? It doesn't matter. It's because I do.
Well, you've got to make that time.
It's my time.
Well, you know what? You made time to plot and scheme to get alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't make time for this. Like, that's why it's like, it is a non-negotiable for me. And I value silence more than anything in this world. My peace is I mean, I cannot put a price on it. And like I said, with my daughter, I haven't had a lot of peace. And, that time for me is invaluable. But, and
Absolutely. And you know what? And I hate to break it to all you normies out there, but I need that time in the morning to get my head right. And I've got to do it every day because my head is completely wrong. But I need that time in the morning to get my head right so I don't kill you.
right? Yes. And you know what? It's just kind of like, I woke up. Oh my God, I woke up today and I'm still an alcoholic, So I got to do
Yep.
what I did yesterday. And
Yes,
that's what
absolutely.
I do. So let me tell you, let me see, where was I? Oh, COVID. Okay. So COVID hit. So I've been doing all of this stuff. Okay. Say all of these routines every day. And I got to where boundaries are huge for me. So early on, my phone goes on do not disturb. If you have an iPhone, you know what that means. At 7 p.m. and it does not turn off until 10 a.m. So from 7 at night to 10 in the morning, my phone shuts down. Granted, of course, if I may get on it, but I don't have, it's out of sight, out of mind. And when I get in the bed, I put it on a charger away from me. Not that
Hmm.
because I mean, like a little kid, I don't want to reach over there and grab it. It's my time to sit and talk to my husband and to give him my full attention. And I don't want to be having a conversation with you while you're glued to your telephone, so I don't do it to you. So that to me, and like
Right.
my boundaries are to protect me, not to offend you. So like I do things that I have
Right.
to do to protect myself. And I don't, if it pisses you off, I'm sorry, but you're not living this
Mm.
life. This is what I have to do for me. So I started that. Took me about a year to get there, but I got there. So let's see. So I'm chairing meetings and doing all the service work and sponsoring people. And COVID hits. I'm like, oh my God, like what am I going to do now? Like, how am I going to go to these meetings? So I'm on my way to chair a meeting. I pull over into I had the videos on Instagram. Like I had this grand idea because this is like right when it started, and they're like, "Whoa, we're about to shut down the fucking world and this, that, and the other." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Hmm.
Like, this is my way of life. Like, this is what I do now. What am I gonna do now?
Right.
Because we don't like change." And so I'm sitting in the Target parking lot, and I get on Instagram and I make a video, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm on my way to this meeting. The meeting may not happen ever again. Like the world, I think the world's coming to an end. I don't know what's happening." So I am going to, hey, y'all, I seriously started AA Zoom meetings. I swear to God I did. So I'm like, I am going to do a meeting for anybody that needs one. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we may do it on, look, I didn't know Zoom existed. I'm like, we are going to do it
Right.
on, oh my God, my mind just went, oh, FaceTime. I'm like, we'll do it on FaceTime. I don't know any other way to do it. Well, I'm like, I got to get to this meeting, but, if you are interested, let me know. I get back home from chairing that meeting, and then watch the news, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is getting really bad." So, in a nutshell, what was born out of that was I found out about Zoom, and I started a 7 nights a week. I did for almost 2 years after COVID. I chaired
Hmm.
a meeting 7 nights a week on Zoom. And I posted about
Nice.
it. The posts I've taken them down now because they're irrelevant. But it would have the topic for the week, and it would have the passcode, and it would have the ID, whatever, or you had to message me for the ID. I mean the passcode because I didn't want Zoom bombers. And so it was a great meeting, and we did it like I said for almost 2 years. But let me tell you, you got to find balance. And I was chairing these meetings 7 nights a week for a long, long time. And after about the first 30 days, I was like, oh God, this is a lot because it was all new to me, the Zoom rooms and everything. So I got a co-chair. And so he and we'd both be on there every night, but I would help him. Then he would help me. We'd go back and forth. Then after,
Hmm.
I don't know, close to a year, we decided, okay, maybe people would like to start helping us. So they would
Right.
give us a night off. Long story short, people started volunteering, and it was all people from Instagram. So it was super, super, super cool. So we really got very close with a lot of people that were all over the world. So wrapping that up, at the end of that, like I would have speakers, like Jim from Valor was one of my speakers. Like I would always have, on Saturday nights we would have speaker night, and it was super
Hmm.
cool. Like it was phenomenal. I love it, and I don't regret one of those minutes that I ever spent doing that. But through all of that, I ended up with sponsees. Once again, they sought me out. I did not seek them out. In Canada, Arizona, Michigan, West Texas, one in Colorado, and then not to mention my girls that were local. So I did a lot, so for 2 years, I did a lot of that. So, like I said, after the world started opening back up again, and I was like, okay, I was traveling a lot. And let me tell y'all something. When you talk about commitment, people that were on my meetings can tell you, I would do them. One day we had a blowout on the interstate. I am on the side of the road chairing a meeting with a blowout. Like, those are the things that I would do. I would do them from the car. Like I could do a meeting right now off the top of my head. Like I have everything ingrained in my head. And so
Right.
let's see. So COVID hits. We're doing all of that. Well, then I get COVID. So I'm sick, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna delve deeper into the 12 steps. Like I'm always trying to learn more and more. So while I had COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm going through the steps again, and I'm like, sought through prayer and meditation. I like breaking it down, and I was like, okay, I know how to pray, but this meditation thing, like my mind is like a freaking squirrel, and so I'm like, I got to figure this one out. Let
Mm-hmm.
me work on this. So I started researching. I found Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous book. So he used to be a monk, and so I started reading about that. Then he started talking about Buddhism, and I was like, okay. So then I find out there is refuge recovery, which is again a 12-step Buddhist recovery for all forms of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just alcohol. You can go in there with gambling problems, whatever, and they meditate in that meeting.
Right.
So I have been, I chair today. I chair those meetings and AA as well over Zoom. But I loved that because I was like, okay, I didn't know anything about being mindful. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so let me see. Hold on, I lost my train of thought. So going through like learning about the refuge recovery, out of all the things I learned that really drew me in is that we create our own suffering. And Lord knows I can
Mm-hmm.
create some like in an instant. And, like I said, I go back to my daughter, her lifestyle has caused my husband and I so much suffering, countless nights of sleep, the anxiety every time, like I said, the
Mm-hmm.
phone rings. And I'm learning today through that, like to embrace it. Like, I've got to embrace that suffering, and I've got to turn it into something positive. And everything that
Mm-hmm.
happens is not the end of the world. Like, because I totally think that it is the end of the world. And the other two things that I
Right.
learned in that is mindfulness and impermanence. And impermanence is nothing lasts. And I was like, damn, I was
Mm-hmm.
like 47 years old when I learned that word. I didn't even know this. So I'm like, okay, impermanence. So those good times are not going to last. So enjoy them and cherish them. And then the
Mm-hmm.
shitty times,
Right.
they're going to go away. It
Yep.
may last like and seem like they're not. But they will. And so that today and being, and then the mindfulness, it changes your relationship with every single thing. And today it helps me
Mm-hmm.
to be fully present and to enjoy what I'm doing at this moment. Like when I get off of here with y'all,
Living in the moment.
when
Yep.
I leave here, I'm going to go shopping with my mother-in-law. I am not thinking about what I'm going to buy. I am thinking about my message right now. It's being in this one moment and enjoying this
Yep.
time. And I want to be here and
Mm-hmm.
now and aware of everything that's happening in the present moment, because for so long I was not present. Like I didn't even know what fucking planet I was on. Like I didn't even know where I was.
Right.
And so those three things drew me into that program. So now I'm doing AA, chairing those meetings in refuge recovery. COVID is still happening. And like I said, I did a lot of research on it because I am a Christian, and I'm like, oh, I about this Buddha thing, and then I had families that are like, oh, you can't worship Buddha, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not worshiping him. And
Mm.
let me tell y'all something.
Right.
Thich Nhat Hanh, actually, I'm reading one of his books right now, and oh my God, it's so good. It's called Silence: The Power of Quiet in a World Full of Noise. I love it's a
Mm-hmm.
great book, but I've read almost every book that he's written, and he has this quote. And once I read this, I was at peace with where I was on the spiritual journey. And then that's when I decided I need to go get a Buddha tattoo. But it reads, It's I know, whatever. But it says basically he says there is a misconception that Buddhism is a religion and that you worship Buddha.
Mhm.
Buddhism is like a practice. It's like yoga. You
Yep.
can be a Christian and practice Buddhism. And he says that he met a Catholic priest at one time who lives in a Buddhist monastery in France. And that this priest told him that Buddhism makes him a better Christian. And when I read that, I
Right.
was like, okay, I can't have both. So on one wrist I have Buddha, and on the other one there's a cross. But I needed that because
So basically you do what works,
hey,
right?
and let me tell you something. Exactly. And just like we're saying AA, a lot of people could benefit from it. A lot of people could benefit from a lot of the philosophies of Buddhism. But the main thing that I loved was the
Yep.
suffering part because especially the path that got us to where we are today, we caused a lot of damage.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
have to be able to release that. And I'm like, you know what? I've been forgiven. And there comes a time you can't move on until you forgive yourself. And there's power in
Right.
allowing myself to be known and heard and owning my unique story, and using my authentic voice. And who am I helping from all of the hell that I went through if I don't recover out loud? And
No, that's absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, all the garbage that we did in the past has value because we use it to help somebody else.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's Buddhism, and that's Christianity, and that's Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
so going on,
And
how I'm like,
and you know
uh-huh.
what? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead. Finish your thought, but I'm gonna I was gonna do a little wrap up thing here real quick. But go ahead, finish your thought because I think what both of you guys just said kind of
Yep.
wraps everything up. But if you got one more thing to
Yep.
wrap up with, feel free because then we can wrap up.
okay. Yeah. So what I was going to say was, you know, I'm all or nothing. I'm an extremist. So after learning that, that's when I decided that I needed to keep learning. So here's what I will wrap it up with. Um, I wanted to know all that I could about this disease. I wanted to know how I got to where I was, how I could better help, is all about service. So again, the world's still shut down. So that's when I enrolled in a virtual uh, class at the Addictions Academy. And so I started studying through the Addictions Academy, and I loved it because I was sitting in a classroom setting, and that's when I received my nationally certified recovery coach 1 and 2 certifications. I went on to be a certified sober companion and safe transport, which I just love. It's so super cool. And I got training in ethics responsibilities, and then I ended it up with the NCRP, which stands for Nationally Certified Relapse Prevention Coach. So that right
Nice.
there, I was like, I don't think I need to learn anything else. I think everything I need to learn, I just learned. I mean, unless I go back to school and get a PhD, I know enough to help someone that reaches out, that wants the help, that
Hmm.
is there. And I did it thinking, I researched it. They make great money. And after I went through all these classes and paid all the money for them, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this for that. That's not why I'm going to do it. I don't, hey, I
Hmm.
like my life not having to go clock in somewhere. I kind of like this. Um, and I had this whole plan out, I was going to do it on Zoom and blah, blah, blah. And then people started reaching out to me and were asking fees and stuff. Like I seriously would it would give me anxiety. I'm like, you know what? You don't need, okay. Do you need this to put food on the table? No. Do you need this for you? I want to do this for me, to help somebody
Hmm.
else. And so I do it for free. I don't need to publicize that, but I don't do it a lot. If I'm reached out to, I will work with people, but I do it out of the kindness of my heart because I just want to be the voice I never heard and give it to
Right.
you for free. And if I can give you any advice, I will do that. But as far as taking clients, because I've had several people messaging me about it, and I'm not like, I will be your ear and I will be your sounding board, and I will tell you what worked for me, and I will tell you the knowledge to my best ability that I have retained and that I know. But I would never not be there for somebody. And that is, and I didn't want it to be a job. I wanted it to be from a friend to a friend. And so, and I'm not going to get anything else. I got enough, and I think I got enough knowledge to help me if I ever needed. And So that's basically how I will wrap that up. That is where I'm at today. And
Well, it sounds to me like you're working a program of Alcoholics Anonymous,
probably
making yourself better so that you can help someone else and make them better.
exactly.
That's
That's
it.
it. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
hey, at the end of the day, if one person's life is saved from all of these posts, podcasts, videos I've made, YouTube channel stuff, talking on the phone, texting with you, messaging on
Yep.
Instagram. If I've helped that one person, every single bit of that is not in vain. And my mission is accomplished.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I want to
Yep.
do.
That's
And
it.
That's it.
And that is absolutely all that we can ask for. And like I said, I think that's a great thing to wrap up with. Daphne, that I appreciate it, even though we all went through a little bit of, maybe that's the point. Hey, that's actually a theme. We went through hell just to produce this episode. So
Yes, we did.
And was it really hellish, or was it 15 minutes of our time?
Oh, what is
I know that was complete sarcasm, but I just
I know.
thought
Hey,
I think that'd be a fun thing to pull
more
in
hell
there.
on my end because it seemed like the problem was coming from my phone. But needless to say, it's a good day.
It's not a big deal. It was I was joking about that. I just thought it was fun to throw that in there. But seriously,
All right,
Daphne,
Daphne, we'll blame you.
You can't have it.
yeah, we can blame you if you want.
You can't. No, don't blame me. Blame Apple. The newest. It's the newest.
But
Do not.
I blame everyone but myself. Come on now.
Isn't that what we do? No, if you're listening, do not update your phone. Do not do the latest update because it will fuck you up. God, or at least wait till after the podcast to update. If you have anything important,
Yeah,
happening,
exactly.
do not update your phone.
All right. Well, seriously though, Daphne, thank you again
You're so
for coming
welcome.
on. I think this was a great hour, and great information. I think we got some good stuff out
Good
to
deal.
people. But as always though, I'm gonna do it anyhow, even though this was all about you this week,
I love
Daphne.
it.
Again, but Mike, anything else on your mind?
Not a goddamn thing.
Well, Daphne, you know how he closes this out. So, Mike,
Yes, I do.
run through it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. We want to thank Daphne very much for coming back on and sharing what it's like and what it's like now, because that's what I really wanted to hear. As always, everyone, be kind to each other, be good to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. And as always, please, fuck off.
All right, man. Mike, I love you, brother. Daphne, once again,
I love
thank
you
you.
too.
Thank you so much for joining us again. And
Amazing.
appreciate it. So,
Absolutely.
everyone, goodbye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.